Welcome to your
Yeah, it's a beautiful day.
Looks
but
good,
I mean,
doesn't
it's hard to enjoy the beautiful day when you walk outside of your door and you're just freezing.
Stepped out this morning. It was about 19 degrees.
Goodness.
Yeah, we have some more of that coming up, but a warm up after that. So.
Well, speaking of those temperatures outside, definitely have it feeling like winter. Last night's temperatures dropped into the 20s, and we're expecting a repeat tonight.
The Interactive Resource Center is operating under a white flag emergency tonight, which means its warming center and shelter will be serving the homeless or anyone in need.
WFMY News 2's Hannah Jeffries spoke to some experts about keeping warm as this winter weather sets in.
That's right, guys. So as you mentioned, you don't need a brain surgeon to tell you it's really cold outside. And if you're anything like me, you want to go ahead and escape that heat. And you can do that by getting in the car and blasting the heat, right? Or you could just simply go indoors. But that's where the problem lies. You see, some people, they went to work today, or they even woke up to heat problems with their heat and air. And that's why crews have been super busy today.
If you've got any outdoor hoses hooked up, unhook them. If you have a vented crawl space, close all your vents just so the cold air is not blowing through. That's pretty much about all you can do in your house. Obviously, if you've got a house sitting, make sure the heat's cut on to at least 50 degrees.
When temperatures drop below 25 degrees, heating and air crews know they're going to be slammed. Williams PHA says they got a ton of no heat calls this morning and one burst pipe. Typically, they say it has to get below 20 degrees for pipes to freeze and bust.
Well, the phones are normally busy, ringing off the hook, and I'm more than happy to answer and assist the best way that I know how, and just taking care of our customers.
Now, Strickland says you can also open cabinets just to get a little more heat onto the pipes and also let your faucet drip just a little bit to keep water flowing. For now, live in Greensboro, I'm Hannah Jeffries, WFMY News 2.
Yeah, cold weather not going anywhere, at least in the very short term, but give us a day or two, we'll start to turn things around. Low temperatures tonight, not quite as bad as what we had last night, so you can see that gradually we see a slow warm up. Looking for 20s for the most part. This does not help though. The winds that we're seeing right now, and they are shifting direction. Notice it's mostly out of the southwest, so that's a warmer flow, so that's good for us. That'll start to kind of squeak temperatures back up a little bit, but the winds are, 10 to 15 miles per hour, so that's probably what we would just call a little bit breezy. Maximum wind gust today up to 20-25 miles per hour. So forecast planner for tomorrow, yeah, we do start out with some colder air. We're still in the 20s, but if you look at it, we build back into the 50s, not bad, but we actually get warmer than that over the next few days. Look for kind of varying sky conditions. Let's go sunny tomorrow and 57, but a 40% chance of rain Friday. We need it. 54, we're up to 60 just about for your weekend, and we'll keep those rain chances 30 to 40 for Saturday, Sunday, only a 20% Monday, and another cold snap Wednesday back to the 40s.
And just like we need that rain, you might need this. Make sure to download our free WFMY News 2 app for all the latest updates and changes in your weather in your neighborhood.
With the weather getting colder, we all need a warm coat. A Guilford County nonprofit is doing its part to help make sure children in need have one to call their own this winter. The Rosa Foundation is holding its third annual Bless a Kid with a Coat campaign. The group is collecting brand new coats for K-5 students in Title I Guilford County schools. Executive Director and co-founder James Rosa Jr. says he personally knows what a new coat can do for a child's self-esteem.
As a child, I knew how I felt to get something used, and I didn't feel good about myself when I got something used. But when I got a brand new coat or anything brand new, sneakers or clothes, I felt so excited. I felt like I was on top of the world.
And the Rosa Foundation is aiming to collect 1,000 new coats for students by the end of January. The group will have its first distribution at the Sylvia Mendez Newcomer School in High Point on December 9th. For details on how to donate, look for this story on our website, WFMYnews2.com. And I had a chance last year to cover a coat, event just kind of similar to this one, and I went live out there, and it was just so nice to be able to see some of the kids just receive coats and warm coats. It was just beautiful, and kids trying to choose which color they like as well too, because that's important.
It's very
It
important.
is so important.
Kids are mean, you know, when you get to it, even like upper elementary school to middle school can be really tough. And if you're the kid with an old worn out coat, I mean, you know how that is. I mean, that's that age group. I've seen kids get new coats and it completely changed their countenance, you know.
That's what I was thinking too. You know, when it comes to the backpack giveaways, the coat giveaways,
Yes.
I think these are so important too. And everybody usually does a really good job at providing the new stuff because they're usually really cool.
Yeah.
I've seen some Iron Man backpacks.
Oh
I've
yeah,
seen some
love them.
hot pink coats. Count me in. All right, let's get to your 4 to 5 roundup. Alamance Burlington School says it's experiencing a budget crisis. The district says it had to enact a hiring freeze for non-teaching positions. This announcement comes after the district spent millions to fix mold issues across the district. ABSS says it has only $102,000 left in their savings account to cover any emergencies for the rest of this year. The superintendent and other school leaders are holding a meeting tomorrow afternoon to talk about the budget woes before a commissioners meeting on Monday.
In Guilford County, Student Nutrition Services employees returned to their schools after a 2-day call out. Several workers started a strike Monday, demanding higher pay from the district. Both sides came to an agreement, even though the district didn't change its initial offer. It includes a 4% raise for assistants. Managers will get a 4 to 7% increase, depending on how much pay they already receive. Superintendent Dr. Whitney Oakley says they are creating an advisory council for cafeteria workers to have a seat at the table when decisions are made.
North Carolina's historic Medicaid expansion is set to begin on Friday. This means 600,000 people will be eligible for coverage, according to the state. The health department says it is also sending nearly $2.6 billion to North Carolina hospitals as part of it. It comes after state lawmakers approved expansion earlier this year.
The Raleigh community is still reeling after a deadly high school stabbing. For the second day in a row, classes and after-school activities have been canceled for students at Southeast Raleigh Magnet. It comes after police say a 14-year-old boy stabbed 2 students during a fight. One of the students died. This all happened on Monday. The 14-year-old was arrested and is expected to face charges. The stabbing was caught on video, but we aren't showing it because of how graphic it is. In the video, you can see one of the teens stab a student multiple times in the leg. Now, North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper addressed the stabbing and school safety while visiting an elementary school.
Southeast High School was such a tragedy, and we need to put at the forefront of making sure that our schools are safe. It would be even better if the legislature would invest more in school guidance counselors, in mental health support, in making sure that schools have the equipment they need to keep them safe.
No word yet on when classes will resume at Southeast Raleigh Magnet.
Well, unless you've lived under a rock, you've probably heard the classic cliche that the fire department is who you call to rescue animals. Check this out though. It actually happened in Winston-Salem. On Monday, firefighters in the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office rescued a kitten who had fallen into a water well. The fire department says the well was about 50 feet deep. The 2 officers worked together, lowering a bucket into the well and getting the cat inside and back up to the ground. Luckily, the kitten was not injured and was taken to the Forsyth County Animal Shelter.
Oh, poor cat.
I want to go adopt it.
Know it.
Oh my goodness.
Plus, water, if that well wasn't dry, it would be freezing cold down there. with
Oh
that
my
well.
goodness.
I wonder how the cat got in there. You
Well,
know,
probably just fell
I feel like
in.
they're so adventurous as well too. You know, we see them in the trees, and sometimes if you have them, they'll jump on cabinets and things
yeah,
of that
stay up
nature.
high.
Yeah, but I'm so happy the cat is.
We had this cat growing up, and it would climb on top of my dad's shop, and it was like a tin metal roof. And so it would just always scatter around, and then it would be late. We couldn't find the cat anywhere. We're trying to, bring it inside. And I just remember all the time that cat was up there every single time just meowing. Like, I got stuck. Help me, help me.
I can't get down.
Yeah, so I mean, we could have called the fire department in that situation.
The trouble with that type of thing is that they don't know that you're trying to help them, so they avoid you.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then they're probably down there with a little, they have like these little like noose catch things they try to get around their waist and pick them up. He was probably running all over the place.
Yeah, I've seen someone trying to help rescue a cat and they just keep backing up
Yep.
and
Yeah,
backing
they're
up
like-
and backing up. Bless
They
their
don't know.
hearts.
Well, he's okay, so that's good.
That's
All right,
good.
We'll be back.
Hey there, it's your friends from the Good Morning Show, Ben, Lauren, and Megan.
Do you have a little one who's turning 2 years old?
We want to celebrate them on TV with Who's Turning 2 Tuesdays. Text birthday to 336-379-5775 to find out how to submit your birthday boy or girl.
And from all of us on the Good Morning Show, happy birthday!
You know, you may not have known this, but there's an effort going on right now to get kind of the up-and-coming singer-songwriters to come to the Triad. As they make their way up the ladder to fame, we've actually seen it before. Believe it or not, Blake Shelton came here in the early 2000s before he was the superstar that he is now. Right in the middle of all this is Mark Brazel, who you probably know from the Wyndham Championship. He has somebody now coming next week that's already reached that level of stardom. I spoke with him about Mac McAnally, who was Jimmy Buffett's right-hand man for decades, coming to Piedmont Hall and tell stories and perform, all in the name of honoring his longtime friend, Jimmy Buffett. So Mark, obviously, I've been to Margaritaville many times at the Wyndham, too many times. There's a tie that kind of helped us get along, right? Tell me about that.
Yeah, it's probably about a 10-year relationship now that we've had with Margaritaville. John, the CEO, came to the Wyndham Championship, saw that we had this big tent, wasn't called Margaritaville the first year, and he looked at me and he said, this is a really good idea. What if we put our name on it and turned it into Margaritaville next year? So that's kind of how that happened. And that's pretty cool.
And you know, there's a history too. You and I were talking before the recording, but there's a history with this area and up-and-coming musicians that's still going on right now.
Well, that's what we're trying to do, and we're bringing in a lot of singer-songwriters, folks that have written a lot of songs for some of the top artists that we're familiar with in country music mainly. We're also bringing in kids from Nashville, young adults that are kind of on their way. You know, they're playing a bunch of different shows. We try to bring them into the Triad and introduce, you know, who's next. And that's a great way for them to maybe want to come back and play at Sedgefield year in and year out.
And people love to say, I saw so-and-so before they were famous. That's just like a bragging right. Now, with this, obviously a lot of sentiment with the passing of Jimmy Buffett, and Mac McAnally's his right-hand man. What will this event be?
Right-hand man, best friend. This is going to be a really unique event. We thought about doing it maybe in the spring. We thought about doing it earlier in the next year. But then we said, you know, let's rush this thing and get it in December and see if we can't find a date. So finding a date was hard. But we settled on December 6th, which is a Wednesday, next Wednesday. And it's basically, we've got two of the best musicians in the world in Mac McAnally.
I like the morning on the back.
10-time CMA Musician of the Year. And Scotty Emmerich, widely known as one of the best musicians in Nashville. Singer-songwriter, was a Songwriter of the Year in 2004. Has written for a lot of great talent.
Sentimental part of this, for people that love Jimmy Buffett, myself included, I'm sure Mac will be telling stories and singing songs, right? Is it going to be an interactive kind of?
I would say, you know, without us calling it a tribute to Jimmy Buffett, these guys are paying tribute to Jimmy Buffett. They're going to be stories. There's going to be songs that Jimmy performed and wrote, his songs, some songs that they wrote for Jimmy. So the best part about this with Mac McAnally, you never know what you're going to get, but I do know this is going to be a night to remember and to pay tribute and show a lot of love for the guy that brought us all a lot of love and a lot of fun, Jimmy Buffett.
And Eric, you said you attended one of the concerts as well, too.
Well, I saw him 5 times. I saw Jimmy Buffett 5 times. And then that video you saw of him at the Wyndham, he showed up. People did not know, the behind-the-scenes people knew. I had somebody say, you need to go to Margaritaville at the Wyndham on Monday. I think it was a Monday. And I went, Monday? Because nothing's really, you have to be there on Monday. And he knew I was a big Jimmy Buffett fan, and I went, you're kidding me. He goes, just go on Monday. And I said we were 20 feet away from him when he walked in. Now that was Mac McAnally with him, who's his right-hand man. So Mac is touring right now in his own little thing, but this is different. So just for the Triad, he's calling this Margaritas and Memories. And he's coming in to Piedmont Hall next Wednesday night. I think it's like 7:30. And he's going to tell behind-the-scenes stories about Jimmy Buffett, who just passed away September 1st. And then play some of his music and tell stories and play music. It's really intimate. It's going to be great.
So out of the 5 seconds as well too that you are 5 seconds out of the 5 times that you have gone, you know, I'm sure the concerts just kind of progressed and progressed.
Once you get
I don't even have a favorite one.
Well, my very first one, I only knew 2 of his songs. I didn't know him that well. My buddy in college said, you've never been to a Buffett concert? I said, no. And he goes, it's not about the music. You don't have to know the music, the vibe. And I get there, and people are throwing beach balls around the Coliseum.
Wow.
This was in Chapel Hill, and I got it. It's like a country Caribbean beach vibe.
Very
And
cool.
So, yeah, very cool. And so it's the experience as much as it was the music. So I can't wait to hear the behind-the-scenes stuff.
Yeah, that'll be really cool to hear.
Yeah, you gotta
Exciting.
go. Parrot heads unite. Fins up. We'll be right back. You know, it is chilly, but at least it's clear out there, and not as chilly tomorrow as what we had today. In fact, even our overnight lows, we had those lows in the teens last night, anywhere from 15 to about 19 to 20 degrees. Now we're going to be in the 20s for tonight. So a little bit better, but still cold tomorrow morning. The biggest issue is that our winds are 5 to 10, maybe up to 12 miles per hour, a little breezy. And that's insult to injury when you see the temperatures, right? But not as bad as yesterday. Clear skies across the mid-Atlantic states, and you look at the high pressure to our south as that moves on to the east, and we're on the left side of that. That means our winds come in out of the south, and that is a little bit of a warming trend. But look at this, a chance of some rain on Friday. We're going to keep that at about a 40%. We've got it ranging between about a 20 to 40% chance of rain for several days as 2 or 3 little hiccups in the atmosphere move by. It's a 40% chance Friday, and we're in the mid-50s after tomorrow's nice 57. Close to 60 for your weekend. Some rain, but not much. And next week, clearing and colder for Tuesday and Wednesday.
Some interesting consumer headlines before we go. Munchkins can show their love for rapper Ice Spice through an iconic household plant. The company behind Chia Pets has released a new product in likeness of the Grammy nominee. It's available at chia.com.
And a Connecticut woman is suing the salad chain Chopped. She claims that she ate a salad that was contaminated with a piece of the manager's finger. That's according to the lawsuit. The manager of a New York State location accidentally severed a piece of her finger while chopping arugula. Court documents allege the manager went to the hospital while the contaminated arugula was still served. County Health Department records showed the Chopped location was fined at $900.
That is horrific. All right, finally, do you love syrup Pop-Tarts and spaghetti? Sounds like a Christmas elf's favorite meal. You would be correct. HelloFresh is creating a kit that helps you make the meal yourself. They're marking 20 years of the movie Elf starring Will Ferrell with the spaghetti dish he makes in the film. It features spaghetti and a bunch of different sweet toppings like maple syrup, chocolate syrup, marshmallows, chocolate candies, and frosted pastries. To celebrate 20 years of Buddy the Elf, HelloFresh is including 2 aprons, plates, and a plastic bag to store your concoction in, just like Buddy. The kits will run you about $29.99, but if you know for sure this is something you want, you better hurry up because they say sales will end on December 8th, and I'll bet you they'll be sold out just as a gag gift, if nothing else.
Yeah, I can see that, but gosh, all those three things together, absolutely.
It's the
I've
spaghetti
always
part
wondered
I can't
though,
handle.
you know? Have you ever wondered?
Would you taste that?
Well, I don't know. When I was watching the movie for the first time, I was like, wait a minute. You know when somebody develops something that actually tastes good even though it looks ridiculous? Maybe this is it.
It reminds me of that story we did. I can't remember specifically. With was it a football player who?
Oh, yes.
The mayo in the coffee.
In the coffee, yes.
No.
Please, what? Why
I
did
think
we
it
not
was a
remember
football
this?
player.
Amazing coffee. And then somebody else tried it and they said it was good. I can't bring myself to try it.
So
Look at that. Look at picking up all that up. Oh.
So when I
Cringe.
was a kid, there was a TV show where a girl would drink Pepsi and milk. And I've heard, and some people would try it
I
as
love
kids.
milk.
And they said it's good. It's like a creamy soda.
Oh.
So I don't know.
It's just kind of like a what's a
Iced
Coke
coffee.
float.
Yeah,
No, like a
sort
Coke
of.
float. That's
But
like with ice cream and Coke.
I would try
Okay,
that.
okay, now
You
you're
know?
making me see, but I don't know why, but that one doesn't make me gag, but these kind of
That does?
make me gag a little bit,
Yeah.
We're gonna try it. That's from Laverne
Mayo
and
with
Shirley.
coffee. I still want to try it.
Laverne and Shirley, Pepsi and Coke. We'll try it. We'll be back.
little sriracha mayo in there.
Hi there, Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Florida, Georgia.
Welcome back to the 4 to 5. Eric Hunter in Sydney. I know we were looking at pictures If you were watching us on Facebook just now, you saw we were watching Winterfest, right? And this is always the time when there aren't as many people because they come later in the day. I think we should do the 4 to 5 on the ice.
I mean, if you want some good humor, I'm in. I mean, I'd be
I'm a
slipping and
horrible
falling
ice
the whole
skater, so
entire
that'd be
time.
funny. You'd probably be the best, right? Because you grew up in the cold weather. No?
I mean, I grew up in the cold weather, but I didn't grow up with the balance. I think Sydney's actually hiding her.
It's been a minute
Look,
since
there it is.
I've gone ice skating, but actually I think ice skating is easier than roller skating.
I know what they're doing now. It took me a minute. They're curling. They're getting ready for there's a team that
There's
does
their
curling.
games that they play.
Yes, and they practice.
I've seen them play it last week, actually. They look like they were having a fun time
Well,
out there.
if we take the show on the road, we have to get Chad Silver to slide up and spray the snow on us.
Yeah.
Because he can do those moves.
Skiing, but.
Well, let's talk about that weather. It's definitely cold outside, freezing.
Winterfest will be in good shape. No risk of melting tonight, that's for sure. Last night we were in the teens, and tonight in the 20s for the most part. Forecast, and this is, by the way, just one particular model's kind of mathematical equation at what they think the overnight lows will be. So kind of the average is about 23 to 27 in that neck of the woods. Anyway, either way you look at it, it's chilly. Winds are not really up there, but enough to be slightly breezy. It makes it feel a little bit cooler. So we're looking at 8 to about 12 mile per hour winds. Now, most of them, if you look at the little arrows moving, that's the direction of the winds. So it's coming in out of the southwest. That's better for us, even though we saw these wind gusts of up to about 22 miles per hour today, in some areas more. It makes it feel a little cooler, but it's really not that bad. And we warm up. 57 tomorrow with sunshine. The rain chance we have with a cold front that's moving by, that'll be a 40% for Friday. And we're fairly mild for the weekend, close to 60 for Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Still a little bit of a rain chance. We'll take it, right? But clearing out and cooling down Tuesday, Wednesday, partly cloudy Tuesday, 54, sunny and 49 on Wednesday.
Well, you want to make sure you download our free WFMY News 2 app for all the latest updates and changes in the weather.
A pair of Panthers legends could be headed to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Former defensive end Julius Peppers and wide receiver Steve Smith Sr. were among the 25 players announced as semifinalists for enshrinement. That group will be reduced to 15 finalists, which will be voted on in January, with a max of 5 modern-era players being selected this year. Peppers advanced in his first year of eligibility, while Smith is a semifinalist for the third year and has yet to advance to the final 15.
And sticking with the Panthers, did you see the fan try to shoot her shot on Sunday? Cameras caught the fan in the stands with a sign hoping to catch rookie quarterback Bryce Young's eye. It reads, "Bryce, be the Travis to my Taylor," which is, as you know by now, was hinting at Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift's relationship. Very interesting. She doesn't look very happy. Maybe they just didn't catch her at the best time.
that one frame of video.
Yeah.
I'm kind of thinking maybe she's just tired. You know, she's tired of dating, and she's like, I'm shooting my shot, and so she's like, just please read my sign.
Make this all in for me. Take it all in. All right, let's jump to college football now, because we are 3 days away from the Sun Belt Championship game. The league's marquee matchup features Troy taking on App State. Head coach Sean Clark on the Mountaineers have reeled off 5 straight wins, including their East Division clinching victory Saturday over Georgia Southern. Coach Clark and players tell us how special this year's team is.
I never lost faith. And if you have a team that believes in one another and fights for one another, then you have a chance to be special. And I thought this team was special. We were 3-4, and I knew we were a great football team. And the way they fight for each other, they were not going to be denied.
We just had to have a why. I mean, everybody got a reason to play, and once we figured out our why and our goal at the end of the day, we just had to play together. And to do that, to accomplish our goals, we just stick together as a team and trust one another. When you're out there and you know I could trust a guy on both sides of me, I mean, we're out there battling, and knowing that everybody next to you would go as hard as they can for you, I mean, just makes it easier.
I just love how, as captains, we came together and we realized that we need to start pushing the pace in practice a little bit more. We need to be high energy, and I think that's what separated us from how we started off in the beginning of the season to the end of the season was the energy, man. You know, I love when guys are cheering on other guys and they make plays, and we just fed the monster. We keep on feeding the monster.
Our kids kept believing in one another, and when you believe in the black and gold and you bleed it every single day, good things will happen. That's a great life lesson, all right? not just for our football team, but for all the fans out there, that most of them would quit, and they would just go on to the next thing. These kids never quit. They didn't quit on their coaches, they didn't quit on the fan base, and they deserve all the credit.
Well, this all goes down Saturday afternoon, 8-4 App State taking on 10-2 Troy. Kickoff set for 4 p.m. in Troy, Alabama. This is the Mountaineers' 4th appearance in the conference championship game in 6 seasons. Chad Silver joins us now. He's our resident adopted Appalachian State fan. Yeah, so talk about this championship run.
I mean, it's awesome, especially considering, you know, it's easy for the fan of any team. We could say, well, there are 4 losses in this season, you know, maybe better luck next year. But the fact that they were able to come out 2 weeks ago and beat JMU when JMU had, you know, the national spotlight on them because of College Game Day, and then this last week just the beatdown of Georgia Southern. I mean, it's been impressive to see what they've continued to be able to do, even with 4 losses this season.
They've always been the team that can come back and be the underdog and win.
Right.
I mean, that win over Michigan years ago is legendary.
People still talk about
Yes,
that.
they
And
do.
then you remember last year when they beat 12th ranked Texas A&M,
yep.
and then College Game Day came to Boone. So I mean, they continue to try to stay relevant, and it's working.
I feel like they're really showing that they can fight under pressure too, because again, the further you go into the season, the tighter it gets. They keep proving their point.
I think you two should watch the game together
Ooh.
since Sydney's dad went to Troy.
He did, yeah, he definitely did. Yeah.
After the parade, the Greensboro parade, right?
I know, right? No,
go
but so
watch
exciting
together.
for App State. But I just want to say, outside of the game, I really admire their stadium, and I have yet to go because I think the look of the mountains and being able to see that all around, oh my gosh, incredible. I just had to point that out.
If
Sorry.
I were you, I would go to a game earlier in the season because it gets darn cold out
Yes,
there.
it does.
Yeah,
Yes, it does.
that's
Frozen metal seats, and sleet, and rain, and
Yay.
snow. Oh yeah. it's pretty bad.
All right, Chad, thank you. Let's get to your 4 to 5 roundup now. The 6th round of hostage releases are underway in Gaza as the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas is set to expire in less than 24 hours. Israel's military says the first 2 Hamas hostages have been transferred to Egypt today. 10 others are expected to soon be freed. U.S. officials are hoping Americans may be among them. Israel says the war will resume when Hamas stops releasing hostages. The U.S. has mobilized $100 million in humanitarian assistance to help Palestinian civilians affected by the conflict.
The House is expected to vote on New York Representative George Santos' expulsion from Congress as soon as this week. Last week, an ethics committee report concluded he used campaign funds to pay for personal expenses, including rent, trips, luxury items, and cosmetic treatments like Botox. Santos has blasted the report, calling it bias, and says he will not resign.
President Biden's son, Hunter, has agreed to testify before a House Oversight Committee. Hunter's attorney says he is ready to testify in public on December 13th. It's related to a subpoena from Republicans investigating his business dealings and an impeachment investigation into President Biden. So far, Republicans have not found evidence directly implicating President Biden in any wrongdoing.
Former First Lady Rosalind Carter is now in her final resting place. She was buried this afternoon in a private ceremony at Carter's home in Plains, Georgia. This is video of the funeral service that took place beforehand. You can see former President Jimmy Carter in a wheelchair behind his late wife's casket. The 99-year-old is currently in hospice, but was determined to be there today. Rosalind died 10 days ago at the age of 96.
With less than a month before Christmas, many people are expecting lots of shipping updates texted to them for deliveries, but some of those messages could be fake. Megan Bragg shows us how to spot them.
This is actually one of the text messages I received. It claims to be from USPS, and let's get a closer look at it. It says a package arrived at the warehouse but could not be delivered. It then asked me to click on the link and fill out the rest of my address. Yeah, thanks, but no thanks. And there's a few reasons why I could tell that this was a scam. To get help with the facts here, we have Tom Bartholomew, president of the Better Business Bureau and the United States Postal Inspection Service. Okay, so first, the United States Postal Service tells us USPS will not send customers text messages or emails without a customer first requesting the service with a tracking number, and it will not contain a link. Bartholomew adds, with the holiday season in full swing, scam scammers are trying to take advantage. And if you click on the link, that's where they will try to get more information.
And then they just keep on asking you questions. Another pop-up comes up. Well, what credit card did you use? And unfortunately, people are still answering these questions.
Here's a way you can spot that this is a scam. If you take a look at where it came from, it's not a number, but a random Hotmail address. Instead of trusting the random text, go to the source itself.
If you think it might be real, go directly to the site that you bought it from, check the order that way.
So Bartholomew says these scams are becoming more common, especially with people buying gifts online and taking advantage of those Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals. So before you fall for this, take a breath, look at who or where it's coming from, and navigate to the site where you bought the gift to clarify the status of your package. With your Verify Fact Check, I'm Megan Bragg.
Well, nowadays it seems like there is nowhere to go to escape the noise, right? Especially if you live in a city. But one group's trying to change that.
Yep, today in our series, Rebuilding America, Nancy Chin looks at the growing movement to preserve our quiet places.
And get this, she met with one group that discovered silence in a surprising place.
For some of us, that may sound all too familiar. The boisterous noises from our daily hustle and bustle that have somehow evolved into the soundtrack of our lives. But what if it sounded like this? Here in Olympic National Park, one of the quietest places on Earth, the day moves to a different beat. Yet spaces like this continue to disappear, a troubling development sound recorder Matthew Mickelson hopes the world hears loudly.
It's fitting of all places to meet that we sit down in a library here at the New York Academy of Medicine.
What is it about quiet places like this that are so sacred?
Quiet, I think, holds space for things that we can't verbalize as humans. We use silence as a way to honor things. So it can be emotional in that way, but it can also hold space for happy emotions too.
Why does quiet need to be saved?
Quiet's harder to find now than it ever has been. Noise is just everywhere, all the time. Even in our most remote wilderness areas, deep in the national parks, in the farthest reaches of our planet, noise pollution is present. Every year we see more and more data to reaffirm what we've known for a long time, which is that quiet is becoming extinct.
That's why Mickelson and nearly 100 other volunteers at the nonprofit Quiet Parks International are traveling to wilderness areas, trails, and parks around the world. Their hope: to find and preserve places still free of noise pollution. But passing the requirements to be deemed a certified quiet place is as difficult as it sounds.
What I usually like to say is that sound is desirable, noise is undesirable or out of place. These wilderness areas need to have a dependable noise-free interval of 15 minutes or more. The majority of places in our country and Canada as well don't pass that just 15-minute requirement.
So you think without movements to try to save them, we would lose essentially all quiet?
Absolutely. Without the push to recognize quiet places, we're going to lose a natural resource that we, up until recently, weren't really even trying to protect.
Quiet Parks International estimates 90% of children won't experience natural quiet during their lifetimes. Mickelson and fellow volunteer Ethan Bordeaux are inspired to change that, even in unlikely places. We joined the two sound engineers at Breezy Point Beach in Queens, New York, as they searched for what they call an urban quiet park.
What have you gathered about this spot?
Fort Tilden in the Breezy Point area is without a doubt the quietest place in New York City.
What does quiet sound like in a place like this?
We're listening to the waves breaking, we can hear birds. Those sounds aren't quiet inherently, but they're beautiful and they ground you to place.
A dramatic difference from some of the busiest streets in the country, just a short drive away in Manhattan.
How loud is it right now?
Well, considering we were just in an environment that was as low as 40 decibels, we're actually 8 times as loud.
8 times louder, and what does that do to our brains?
Well,
8 times is crazy.
But through the silence in these sacred places, Mickelson hopes to prove to others quiet has the power to cure.
Your mission statement says, when we save quiet, we save everything else. What do you mean by that?
I think by giving people access to quiet, we're giving people access to a lot more, I hope. I know people find a lot more than just a good, enjoyable listening experience when they go to a quiet park. They find things that stay with them and that help them live more happy, fulfilled lives.
The Quiet Parks International team is currently reviewing the data collected during our trip to Breezy Point with the hopes of naming it as an official urban quiet park in the weeks ahead.
So I live out in the county, and for me, it's when it snows and it's nighttime and everybody kind of stays in because it's snowing. You can go out in my backyard and you hear nothing. I mean, maybe a car going by a little 2-lane highway. I didn't live near.
Yeah, I found that when I am in quiet spaces that I make the best decisions in those spaces.
That's true.
And so that has been very nice. But one of my happy places, I guess maybe it is not so quiet, but can be, I find are like coffee shops and going at a specific time, because I don't know, it's weird. I do like hearing the sounds that they play in there, but I also like hearing, them making the coffee and just those subtle sounds. It's just peaceful to me, especially when I'm like reading a book or something.
And that's usually where I find myself, is pulling away during hikes, right? Because it's also a very quiet place. And honestly, I feel like it's been a minute too. When I go back to Idaho, there's a lot less people. And so that's the other thing too, is that snow kind of sounds it. You just step outside and you're like, oh. Yeah.
Crunch of the snow.
And then you go back to it all.
The beach is my happy place, though.
Yeah,
the ocean.
Ooh, the ocean waves.
My favorite of anything.
Yeah.
All right, 10 minutes before 5 o'clock. We'll be right back.
It's likely going to cost more to heat your home this winter thanks to a spike in energy prices. Brandon Lewis looks into whether closing the vent to unused rooms of your house can help save you money on your heating bill.
The Energy Information Administration expects heating bills could jump nearly 30% this winter for some homeowners because of an increase in wholesale energy prices. So people are willing to try almost anything to keep costs down. One common thought is by closing the vents in unused rooms in your home, you can force the warm air into occupied rooms and avoid paying to heat empty rooms. So let's verify. Is closing vents in unused rooms a reliable way to save money on heating costs? Our sources are 2 HVAC companies, Energy Vanguard, which trains energy auditors, renewable energy company Prime Energy, and Ian Walker with the International HVAC Engineering Society, ASHRAE. All of our sources say completely closing vents is a bad idea because these systems are designed to flow air throughout your home. While you can partially close some vents in your home, when you totally shut vents in one room, you're actually blocking the flow, which can cause your system to use more energy as it tries to circulate the heat elsewhere. Closing vents can also build pressure in your system. This can strain it, which causes damage over time, and your ducts may leak heat. Plus, Apollo Home says the laws of physics can end up putting some of that heat into unused rooms anyway. Most interior walls don't have insulation, meaning the warm air will eventually seep into an adjacent colder room, again negating any attempt at savings because your furnace will cycle on and off more frequently, raising your costs and lowering your comfort. So, no, closing vents in unused rooms is not a reliable way to save money on heating costs. Any potential cost savings is outweighed by the inefficiency and could cost you more in repairs in the long run. With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
Well, I can verify that it's cold out there this morning. Teens for a lot of people, anywhere from about 15 to 20 degrees. I mean, it was really chilly. A little bit more mild tomorrow, but still cold, right? 28 degrees by 5 a.m. Probably bottoming out somewhere between that 5 and 7 a.m. time period, but making it up to the mid to upper 50s tomorrow. We're all clear across the area, and that means for that overnight low to drop down pretty quickly. 7-day forecast, sunny and 57 tomorrow. We've got a 40% chance of rain Friday and 54 before we warm close to 60 for your weekend with a chance of a few showers.
If you're outside for any amount of time today, you're going to want to bundle up. And for me, that means extra accessories like some gloves or a scarf.
Hi, Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Florida, Georgia, Hawaii.
Hi, Brett, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3. We are starting in Alamance County. Money, money, money.
Idaho, Illinois, Indiana. Illinois. Testing 1, 2, 3.
It's time for my 2 cents. Have you started your Christmas holiday shopping yet? Maybe you missed some Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals. Well, on Tuesday, we had reps from Goodwill Industries of Central North Carolina share ways to find last-minute gifts and talk about how to donate this holiday season. While there are so many amazing holiday stores out there, they recommend not counting out stores like Goodwill. They say you can stumble on unique gifts like drinkware, platters, and tablecloths. Let's also not forget the good prices. But let's say the gift of giving is far more important for you. They also say donating items this holiday season is crucial. In fact, this past weekend, I spent a day cleaning out my closet to donate my clothes I no longer wear. It makes me feel good knowing someone else will be able to enjoy them. If donating is top of mind for you, Goodwill reps say to donate things like gently worn clothing, shoes, accessories, and antiques. And on the other hand, mattresses and box springs, hazardous and toxic materials, and baby equipment are things you shouldn't donate. That's just my 2 cents. That's your 4 to 5. WFMY News 2 at 5 starts right now.
We start in Alamance County tonight, where the school district says it's in the middle of a budget crisis. It's so serious, the district now has a hiring freeze for all non-teaching positions.
District leaders say they've already spent millions to clean mold, but millions more are still needed. Other costs are racking up, and the district's emergency fund is in jeopardy.
The district told WFMY